This is PJNET.TV, and this is my perspective and comments. In this video segment of my perspective and comments, we cover politics, society here and abroad, and the events of the day that are shaping our nation. PJNET.TV, my perspective and comment, coming to you with a worldview, one nation under God. Welcome to my perspective and comments, and we'll start out as we have been for almost 2 years here, talking about COVID and a quick update. We are seeing the numbers with this Omicron that has swept through the states, and we are seeing numbers that are in the decline of infections and hospitalizations, and even to the point where we're starting to see in many blue states talking about the lifting of mandates and getting the masks off our kids, and that discussion is taking place right now, and some blue states have actually said yes, no more mandates, and others are kicking the can down to next month, or the rhetoric is we're looking at lifting many of the mandates. But really what we're seeing right now is that holdout to keep our kids masked. And the commentary was pretty loud when a lot of people were looking at this Super Bowl and saying, wait a minute here, you've got all these celebs up partying down, and the whole stadium not a mask to be found pretty much. And but yet and still, the very next day, the kids in California there in LA gotta go to school with all masked up. And a lot of the comments was, what is going on here? The hypocrisy of these people out there. No masks needed, but throw it on our kids to have to have masks put on. So, but again, more and more these left-leaning blue states are realizing that if they don't do something to change the direction, there will be a bloodbath, so to speak, when it comes to elections. And if they think that they're going to have Congress is gone, and it looks like the Senate will be we will be going back into Republican hands, simply because the American people, and really around the globe, they're done. They're sick of the mandates and the government with the government's boot on their neck. And no more evidence than what we've seen with our brothers and sisters up north in Canada and what's going on there. So that's, really with COVID, and we're starting to hear, already, you would have been banned if you said these cloth masks didn't work. But guess what? Even Fauci and a lot of these so-called medical the medical professional doctors, or as I would say, our political doctors, are saying that the cloth masks really don't work. Oh, but you need to get an N95 though. So here we go again. The shifting sand of rhetoric coming from these political doctors, and that whole message that we've seen over 2 years, and every step of the way, they're backtracking. Everything that they said needed to be done failed. And this is the track record, but yet and still, they expect us to be listening to these political doctors. And I think the people have said, no, we've heard these stories before for 2 years, and everything you directed us to do, we did, and it didn't do. We're still locked down, hidden away, and our kids are masked up. And our kids right now are starting to show evidence of these lockdowns and what they're doing to their mental, their social skills, and some of the negative effects that are being seen by doctors right now in the emotions, and kids not being able to relate the way that they should. And that's not even to talk about some of the severe adverse reactions that we're seeing around the world in our kids, and not just our kids, but large populations are showing adverse reactions to the jab. I want to talk a bit about what we've been seeing here, the ramp up and the rhetoric that we see coming out of the White House and Russia. There, Putin, Vlad's out there has amassed hundreds of thousands of troops surrounding Ukraine, and now we see the tit for tat in the rhetoric. But again, as I had mentioned before, these dictators that are out there, these bad actors on the global stage, like Putin, like Xi Jinping, like the mullahs there in Iran, and Kim Jong-un in North Korea. They all saw what took place in Afghanistan, and it emboldened them. And if Biden thinks that he can dodge, the American people know why we're here, and how Vladimir said, okay, I can roll right on in. And then to hear Biden talk about 3 weeks ago, where Putin was amassing more troops, and Biden basically said, well, if he goes in, just as long as he takes a little small portion, then, we'll talk about, what we're going to do. And again, opening the door and saying there would be no consequences. There should have been nothing should have been left off the table. When Biden was asked what America was going to do, nothing out of his mouth should have been, there's nothing we're going to take off the table regarding this. And when these leaders around the world, when they see weakness, that emboldens them, and that, I believe, is what we're going to be seeing. I'm saying that there's could be before the year's out, we could be talking about how we're going to deal with China in their aggressive moves towards Taiwan. So there's that. And again, weakness being shown around the world. And one of the other things that, when I had mentioned about taking nothing off the table, but Biden came out and had this press conference talking about what's going on in Ukraine, and talking about that there would be consequences. What he could have said was this Russian pipeline going to Europe, as he said, they may nix that or have close that down, so to speak. But what he could have said is, and because of the nature of what Russia is doing, but Putin is doing, that the XL pipeline is going to be restarted, so that we will be able to allow Europe to not to be blackmailed or have these energy prices from Putin go sky high. And he could have used that as a levering chip to say, and again, if Russia moves into Ukraine, then we're going to be able to supply Europe with our fuel resources, which if he hadn't have canceled the XL pipeline and all the in the areas all around of where we were getting our energy, and closing all those resources off, and saying, no, we're not going to drill there. We're not going to invest in that area, which President Trump was doing. And we were energy independent. And our energy costs were relatively low. And Americans were benefiting from that. Now you look. Everything is out of control right now, and it's weakening America. And again, if our economy is struggling, which it is right now, that makes us weak, and also that hurts us globally when on the world stage. We are weakened from where we should be right now. Where Biden has put us has put America in a weakened state. And, he can talk about all the jobs he's creating, but the numbers don't lie. And the polls don't lie. And the American people, many Democrats, independents, are saying, no, we don't want any more of this administration, and they're saying 2024, we don't want him. We don't want the Biden administration running again. They want somebody else. Now the problem is, who do they have right now? Kamala's on deck, but the American people, that they don't want her. And then the other name that seems to be floating out there is Hillary Clinton. So, I mean, really, they are, they're dredging the bottom of the barrel trying to find somebody that their own party will vote for. So, again, we're seeing weakness around the globe. We're seeing the economy under this president in a death spiral, and with no answers in sight. So there's that on the world stage and in the area of our domestic here at the States. We're seeing weakness throughout. And then again, the inflation numbers. Every store you go in, you're seeing the inflation numbers. When you take a look when you go to purchase something, you're seeing a number there that you're saying, wait a minute, I didn't even see that there 2 months ago, and now it's going up. So we're seeing inflation that is drastically affecting us. Every aspect: food, electricity, our heating oil, building supplies, toothpaste, you name it, it's all going up because of the inflation that's taking place. And the analysts are talking about, we're not going to dig our way up. It might take years to dig our way out of this this mess. And the problem is right now is this president isn't doing anything to make any corrections. So we haven't even made the ship isn't right. We're not righting the ship right now, and we're just on the same course, doing the same thing. So any possibility of recovery is not there because we're still going in the wrong direction. And then they're talking about interest rates. The Fed might up the interest rates, which could cause some other issues to kick in. But again, our economy under this president is suffering. We had talked earlier in that Virginia race, 3 months back now, I guess, and we talked about that race between Terry McAuliffe and Glenn Youngkin, and what really turned that whole campaign for the governorship around for Glenn Youngkin, and it was the parents. going, seeing what took place in Loudoun County in this school board, and all that was taking place and all that they were trying to push. And that is what really, when Terry McAuliffe was all for the school unions and supporting Loudoun County and everything that they were throwing at the parents. But Glenn Youngkin said, no, we need to let our parents have say in, because they're the custodians of these schools, and they're the ones that it's their children that we're educating, and they have a say. And that turned that race around, and now he's the governor, and he's holding to those promises he made. And the one was, getting these mask mandates and all the mandates that the schools were going through right now. This past week or last week, he has no more mandates. If you want to wear a mask, that's all right, but parents now have the choice whether or not they're going to have their children masked up or not. And I mention that too because, we're seeing this take place in state after state. Parents are going in and saying, we're taking our schools back, and we're getting involved, and the nonsense and what these school administrators and some of these teachers say, we're going to teach this, that, and the other, even if the parents are against it. The parents have risen up, and we're seeing more and more school boards being people running for school board and ousting a lot of these superintendents and leadership in the school. And a prime example of that was what we just saw here this past week. And we had been talking about, about this, California and the school systems. Well, believe it or not, San Francisco just voted out 3 school board members, the far left, that had not. They didn't want to hear about, taking the masks off. They were more concerned with tearing down statues and removing names from some of their in their district, the names of some of their schools. They were busy doing that, changing the name because, they didn't like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, or Jefferson, those type of names. They didn't want that. They were busy focused on that rather than making sure their kids were able to coming in and getting an education and not masked up. But that was their focus. Well, the parents have had enough, just like we're seeing across the country and across the globe right now, and evidenced here up north in Canada. People are fed up and they're tired of the boot of government, or in this case, these school boards that think that they're going to tell the parents what's going to be taught, and they don't want to hear any input from the parents. Well, those days are over, and more parents throughout our nation are saying, no, we're getting involved, and we're going to oust these leftists that have been forcing this stuff on their kids and calling it education. So we see this that took place here in San Francisco. So I'd like us to take a look here of some comments, some video clips here of some comments that were made by the mayor of San Francisco that had some input, and also reports on exactly what took place there in San Francisco, there in the vote that took place to oust these 3 board members. Take a look.